because looks like AI brings some advantage. But the question is, let's say, how to start.
If you can't calculate the ROI for something, don't do it.
Okay.
Spend the time first and figure out what the ROI is going to be.
How not to be one of these 80%, inside of this 80% to fail.
You need to have a business problem you're solving.
You need not just put AI inside of existing process, but you also need to understand how you can change the behavior of your company.
Their management is coming to them and saying, we want to do AI.
This is Spam Jam Podcast by First Line Software.
Hello everyone, this is Spam Jam Podcast powered by First Line Software. I'm your host, my name is Vladimir, I'm Senior Vice President at First Line Software. And today with me is Alex Kalinovsky, Chief Technical Officer of Parallaxis. Hi Alex.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Very, very good. How are you?
Great. Today we are in New York, great city to talk about AI probably, right?
Why is New York a good city to talk about AI?
Because all advertisement around, what I can see at the moment on all this building, it's about AI.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Hot topic. I think
Hot topic. Yeah. Hype, right. But we will try to lend it a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's talk about the future. Let's talk about 2026. And our topic today is 2026. It's the year when AI becomes boring and probably when it wins.
Okay.
So what you think when you hear AI becoming boring? What does it mean for you?
I think like as all the previous waves of technology, becoming boring probably means that the hype starts dying down a lot. We're not going to speculate about bubble bursting or whatever, but it becomes just another tool.
Is it good?
For who? For us,
For
you,
us, for technology.
for clients. I think it's good in the sense that by boring I mean that people will find practical applications of it,
Okay.
right? And among all is hype, right? The practicality gets lost. You probably have seen the news that almost 80% of all the pilots fail.
Right.
Why? Because of the hype. So if the hype dies down, hopefully we're going to see more pilots succeed.
Okay. You as a chief technical officer, so you should be very pragmatic as a person, I believe.
I try to be, yeah.
Yeah. When you start talking with internally probably and with your clients, what you feel at the moment? So people still are waiting for some magic?
Yes and no. Maybe it's the nature of the clients that we interact with. I think they're past the magic stage. Or maybe by the time they engage with us, they're past the magic stage. Or maybe it's because our approach. Because when we work with clients, the very first thing we do is we help them identify the business problem.
Right.
Because the sure way for a pilot to fail is for it to be a tech for the tech's sake. You need to have a business problem you're solving.
Yeah.
And then you find a practical solution to solve that problem. But yeah, generally, I mean, and it's not just magic. I mean, you'll see generally, you look at what's happening right now, you can compare it to what was happening like 15 years ago when the cloud started. You have this proliferation of tools, proliferation of companies. And it's maybe not that people are so much waiting for the magic, but it's very hard to keep up with everything that's happening, right? And all this noise.
Yeah. I had an interesting talk like yesterday, I believe, with one of the companies, with CTO. And we spoke about exactly what you're saying. So there is a vision that the company needs to start using AI because it looks like AI brings some advantage. But the question is, let's say, how to start, what should be, and how to maybe also sell it to business, and not to oversell it, because I suppose a lot of owners of non-IT business, they're not so deep in they're not so deep in technology, so they read like AI can do whatever you want, they talk with ChatGPT on a daily basis because it's fun.
ChatGPT tells them it can do whatever they want.
ChatGPT tells them that, okay, I can do whatever you want, and then they go to, I don't know, CTO level and say, okay, we wanna use AI. AI will help us, and the question is, okay, how CTO can sell it properly to owners and to avoid this kind of level of hype, and at the same time, if he managed to sell, and gets a budget, how not to be one of these 80% inside of this 80% to fail, right? So what's your view? You said that you help companies first of all to understand, right, how to land it. So
well, I think for many CIOs and CTOs, the problem is opposite right now. They don't have to sell. Their management is coming to them and saying, we want to do AI.
Right.
Full stop. Why are we not doing AI yet? Right? So it's kind of like, it's almost for some people, it's happening to them, right? So they need to kind of get in front of that chaos a little bit. But my advice would be, if you're in that situation, and you do have to explain to the management why, or you've been told you need to do it, first study it, identify a business problem that lends itself well to automation using AI, and resist the hype. Because the hype would tell you, pick up marketing, pick up something online, develop a chatbot, resist that. Go for where the hard problems are, and usually they're in operation somewhere. Especially if you're in a big company, there's probably an area in ops which is ripe for automation, and this is where you can find a use case that will deliver tangible benefits. Because you need to find one where you can calculate the ROI. If you can't calculate the ROI for something, don't do it.
Okay.
Spend the time first and figure out what the ROI is going to be, then do it. And pick up something that you can deliver in a reasonable time frame. Right? I can keep going about this because there are other challenges involved in that.
There are other challenges on all of these stages.
Right.
But if we will go to the first stage, you say, okay, identify the business problem.
Right.
Yeah. From one side, it sounds like something simple. From another side, for example, we envision that if you want to get advantage out of AI, you need not just put AI inside of existing process, but you also need to understand how you can change the behavior of your company, the processes, to get the maximum advantage of AI. It's similar probably to what we've seen in digital transformation. Yeah? You can start automating.
It's the same as in every transformation, right?
Right. So the question is maybe you have your vision or your practices.
If you want to do it properly, start with analyzing the process.
Okay.
Do value stream mapping. Analyze the process. Figure out, is this process needed in the first place, right? Is the process a band-aid? Are you following the process because this process is a band-aid on top of the technology that's not doing what you needed it to do, right? And it may be that process was put in place so long ago that everybody forgot why it's there. But do the analysis of the process. But that's no different than with any transformation project. Right. This is a transformation. This is change. Any change should start with, why are we doing this? What's the process? Let's analyze it, identify gaps. If we can change the process, fantastic. That's the whole point, right? Maybe you will actually find, as you do that the problem is not where you thought it was. It might be somewhere completely different. You might be actually automating the wrong thing if you don't do it.
Yeah. So in that case, it's not a game only for CTO and technology team, but it's a big game for like different business operations.
It's a business change.
So it's firstly a business change.
It is a business change. It might be led in some companies. A CTO might be a champion. Okay. In some companies, a CEO might be a champion, but it does need a business champion for sure.
Okay. So
because it is a business change.
Okay.
It's not an IT change. It's a business change.
Right. So that's something what business should also accept.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. In your vision, who should, because you said that from one side, CTO should not sell anything because owners are coming to him and saying, okay, why we are still not AI first company, right? At the same time, I suppose when CTO gets this as a task and then goes to any of business divisions, they will tell him, okay, but we are good with what we have, why should we? So should he try somehow in-house sell it, and how to sell it properly? So
Well, I mean, my view on that this is transformational. For any transformation to succeed, there's a term called a burning platform. Okay. You need a burning platform.
Can you explain what does it mean? Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of need to feel that the roof's going to cave in over your head. There's a fire, and maybe the fire hasn't started yet, but it will start at some point. And usually, where transformation programs are successful, when there is a stakeholder, a leader, a CEO, or somebody senior in the business who can communicate to the rest of the company the need for that change, because it is a change, right? So, for example, if we don't do this, our business is not going to scale. For example, right? Like we are growing, we have a potential to grow, but if we don't address those issues, we're not going to be able to scale. We're going to lose revenue, something. But the house is on fire. Okay. Right? That should come rarely, very rare, unless you're a technology company, that very rarely comes from the CTO. So CTO can be a champion, and he might be, but he needs a business sponsor who's going to communicate this, right? If the company feels that there is no reason to change, you're usually not gonna succeed. Then you're kind of like, then it becomes a solution looking for a problem. Right. And that's what we see probably at the moment in this AI field, right? There has to be a need for change. There has to be a desire for change. There has to be a burning need to do something new, and to solve a particular problem.
Right. Right. That's what we see at the moment on different fairs. You participate and we participate, and we see a lot of different products trying to solve some potentially concrete solutions, trying to solve some problems. Yeah, but what we hear from the companies coming to us later on, because we are the service business with you, so we are consulting engineering firm. So they're coming and saying like, okay, but how to deal with all of this? I mean, we need somebody to help us to navigate how to pass this ocean. Yeah, when you have a lot of different tools and they look similar. Some of them are doing, if they are talking about some voice assistants, there are now millions of these voice assistants, different tastes, different quality, and so on and so forth. And somebody needs to navigate them properly, right? So this is a role which mostly like consulting and engineering firms can take to help CTOs to survive.
Well, as consultants, we can help the company identify a business problem. That's where you could start. Right, so we, for example, we can shift gears, right? So we do everything from design thinking all the way to hands-on engineering, and depending on where the client is in a particular moment, we can kind of adopt a different persona. And so, if the client needs help identifying a business problem to solve, we can help. We can help, and you guys, we can help them do that. But at the end of the day, they're participants in it. Nobody's going to do it, instead of them. We can guide them, we can help them, we can facilitate, but at the end of the day, this is their business problem that we are solving. Once we identify the business problem to solve, then we can start talking about tools, we can start talking about, do we do something in-house, do we help you find a commercial solution, do you go, for a managed service, but identifying the business problem to solve is the first thing you do.
Right. Coming back to the topic about 2026 and boring AI, all the things. What's your vision? Why AI may become boring?
I'm actually not sure it will, but we will see.
Yeah, because nowadays what we can see, a lot of new stuff happening on the daily basis. Do you feel that it's, because I heard from some people that looks like it starts slowing down a bit, so it's not booming like it used to be like half a year ago. So we see that it's kind of now stabilizing. Do you feel this?
I don't see that yet.
No?
I see the proliferation of tools. I see them multiplying like rabbits, every day, and it's hard to keep. It's hard for us to keep up, and this is our job.
Right.
Because we are consultants, we have to keep up with everything that's happening. I can imagine how hard it might be for somebody in the enterprise to keep up, but I don't see this slowing down yet.
Okay.
Again, if you think back on the cloud days, let's think of previous wave, right? It reminds me of what was happening back then, right? So you had this proliferation of tools. Cloud came about. It benefited first the startups.
Right.
If you and I were starting a company back then, right, all of a sudden you didn't need to buy hardware.
Right.
Just start a company like this. Same as now. The first companies that are going to benefit from this are going to be the startups who are going to be AI first.
So they will start with that.
They already start with that. They will already start with that. The enterprises is going to be slightly harder. But I still think that we saw that before. Proliferation of companies, proliferation of different solutions, different standards for containers, all of this. And then it started consolidating. And then the wave crested. And then it became a commodity to some degree, right? Standards solidified, the number of tools kind of solidified, the practices solidified. I don't see that happening yet.
Okay.
Yeah, 2026 is not that far off.
Almost tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Maybe it will, but I'm not sure it will quiet down just yet.
Okay, but if this hype is going to move forward in 2026, for example, do you feel that it may become like, so I would say that, okay, you're talking about AI all the time, it's hype, you don't know what to do, but business should move forward. Does it mean that sooner or later, if it will not stabilize, businesses mainly will say, okay, let's put it somewhere for future, let's focus on existing problem, let's stop thinking about AI for a few years and move forward. So because now everybody is still on this like wave, but if it's not stabilizing, it might become like too much. And
no, I mean, I think you have to cut through the noise, right? And this is where like people like you and us may help, right? You have to cut through the noise. And then, yes, for a lot of companies, there are practical problems they can solve using this fantastic technology, right? There are practical problems that can be solved. So cut through the noise, identify whatever today is the best technology, with the understanding that things may change. But what are the best technologies today? What are the best standards today, frameworks, etc.? Find the right problems to solve. Go after that. Just don't boil the ocean. Go after some practical problems. Solve it. And as you do that, treat it as developing a template for how you're going to be solving other problems, similar ones.
Okay. Do you believe that because our companies, we are working in US, we are working in European market, right? So in Europe, for example, there are much more regulation and this European AI Act, which somehow tries to land AI or put AI into some framework. Do you think that that was my question. Do you think that for innovation, for AI usage, is it valuable? Do you think it helps?
Regulation?
Yeah.
I think it does.
It does?
It does. I'm a professional engineer by training, right? I remember the days when they taught me about safety and engineering safety, right? And that the regulations help safety. So this technology without regulation can be profoundly unsafe.
That's true.
Profoundly unsafe. So I think the regulation is helpful.
Do you feel the same happening or will happen here in the US? Or
no, I think we're behind Europe right now.
Okay. Moving forward. So let's imagine 2026, 2027, maybe 2030, hopefully earlier, because if the vibe will go till 2030, I suppose it will be too much emotions. I mean, we will not survive. But let's imagine 2027, it all become more stable, right, as a technology. So no hype, just normal implementation. You mentioned already that one of the important stuff, but I suppose it's in many IT projects to identify the problem, to understand how to solve the problem, how to get value. Let's imagine that this step we managed. What's next? Because I suppose out of this 80% of project you mentioned, not all of them were just doing something without thinking how to get value. So looks like there are some other problems. So what do you think? What should the companies focusing on top of that?
Data.
Existence of data or
quality of data. For many companies, traditionally, data was not treated as something of value. It's there. It was not a product, it was a byproduct.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you're going to end up implementing a solution that will require training a model, it needs data.
Right.
It needs data of the right quality. It needs data of the right shape. That data has to be able to answer whatever business problem, whatever business question you're posing to it, right?
Right.
And especially if you're dealing with old legacy platforms and the enterprises, you have to take care of those fundamentals. You have to take care of that data, because whatever outcome you're going to get out of implementing AI is only going to be as good as your data, right? So taking care of the fundamentals, making sure you have the right data quality, the right data governance, make sure you're thinking about that, right? So this is the first thing that needs to be taken care of. Proper guardrails need to be in place. Whatever, it depends what you're planning to use AI for. If you're going to use AI to augment your software development, for example, then you need to have a proper development platform in place with a proper guardrails that manifest themselves through that platform. You need that. Integration. If you're implementing AI in the enterprise, it doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
It will need to integrate with something, and most likely it will be integrating with your legacy systems. So do you have API? Has that been taken care of? Do you have APIs exposed that can be used? Right? Do you have you set up MCP servers to do that, etc. Right? So it's integration challenges there as well, and it doesn't become an AI problem. It's an integration problem.
Right.
Which has been with us for the past 10 years.
Right? Yeah. Even without AI.
Right. Even without AI, the challenge has been there.
That's for sure. But on top of that, for example, what I can see at the moment, there are a lot of really nice tools. But when you start thinking about non-technical people who should use these tools, they are not prepared.
Give me an example, like what kind of tool?
I mean, if you're talking about, I had an example not from AI field, but as an option from a healthcare IT field, for example. I spoke to the guy and he said that we work with some startups. They built very nice tools, applications for elderly care. So home care for people sitting at home. It's measures something and so on and so forth. But the instruction to use this tool starts checks that your Wi-Fi is working. And we are talking about 80, 90 years old people. Right.
It has to be a big case. You can't, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice tool, but completely useless because you haven't thought like about the people who are really going to use it. Same here, like for example, if we start putting AI for and mainly as we said, so it focuses on solving business problems. So we give these AI tools, AI solutions to people who not so technically prepared, so they don't know. Like as an example, if I start to trust ChatGPT, I will put my contract with.
Don't trust ChatGPT.
Exactly. So, but if I don't know about it, if I talk with ChatGPT, I'm not a technical person. I talk to ChatGPT on a daily basis. I decided, okay, maybe I can put there my healthcare data and start asking questions. And for us as a professionals, it will be like, no, never do it. Yeah, you need to make sure that data are private. But for not technical people, it's like nobody told me that I cannot do it. So, does it mean that there should be another one step for education of people, or it will?
Yes, for sure. And there are different levels of education. There are education of end users, right? More education how to take care of your data. That's for end users. That's for everybody. There should be more. There should be more of that, right? We should start teaching that in school to kids, let's say, right? Exactly. Then there is education to the companies and get them to think properly about AI and about what's happening, and right, and it's really geared to non-technical, to non-engineers, non-technical people. Right. So
we do the same internally and externally. Yeah. So because we started with ourselves, with our people, and educating them and defining even some legal things to make sure that you're not providing any data outside, which you cannot do, and you understand what to expect from AI. Just to sum up this discussion, we started, okay, you need to identify the business problems, you need to think about data security, you need to think about data in general, you need to educate people, and finally, 2027, you managed to have a successful AI project in your company.
Hopefully before 2027, that's a long time to wait.
I mean, 2026, so it happens. So AI becomes boring, and there are a lot of successful AI implementations. What does it mean? What is the final step? What does it mean to become maybe, let's call it AI first company or AI centric or company which gets real advantage out of AI in some even particular case? So what does it mean, the successful AI project for you?
Well, there was a lot to unpack here. Let's talk about what the successful AI implementation would mean for me in the company, let's say in the context of an enterprise. And again, when we talk about AI projects, there are AI projects and AI projects. And AI, it's like everything gets lumped into the one.
Right.
I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about introduction of AI to help you with your software development? Are we talking about AI for compliance? Are we talking about AI for, for helping you proofreading your legal? There are various different, or dynamic pricing, for example, right? One of our clients is implementing AI for dynamic pricing. Various different, so these two letters imply lots and lots of different use cases. But generally, if you try to generalize, I think what it means is you're in a position now where your organization, you've done your at least one implementation. You've got your guardrails and your rules and your internal education taken care of, because hopefully when you were doing that first project, besides achieving that ROI that you set yourself to achieve, you also use that project as an opportunity to set yourself up for future implementations.
Right.
So you've taken care of all those fundamentals. And also you've educated your people internally. So they're now started thinking, they're starting to think about, fantastic, what are other use cases I can apply that to? Where else can we use this? Technology. They are not looking at it as magic anymore. Right. There's nothing magical about it. This is another tool, right? Where else can we apply it? You end up as internal, some of the people we talk to, they call them AI champions, right? So you now have this knowledge within the company where people can start up, thinking about where that tool can help them and what other use cases they can solve.
And scale.
And scale, absolutely. And scale.
Okay, that's great.
Yep.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you about 2026,
Pleasure.
maybe 2027.
Pleasure is mine.
Yeah. Thank you, listeners. Together with me today, you had Alex Kalinovsky, CTO of Parallaxis, and my name is Vladimir. I'm your host, and you're listening to Spam Jam podcast powered by First Line Software. If you like it, please leave your comments and wait for our new podcast episodes. Thank you.
This is Spam Jam Podcast by First Line Software.